Appreciate you being in here early. Matt, Mark, CID, everybody's saying, hey, hit the like button, everyone. Totally agree. Moshi already in here with some picks in baseball. Let's take a look at how our picks did yesterday. We went 2-2. We've got a couple of picks pending. I've got my golf pick. He's down a couple of strokes, but it's still relatively early. And then we've got a soccer pick. Don't forget, Martin Green gave out a second soccer pick. It was USA minus 1.25. That one goes off today. A lot of picks to still find out about, a lot of picks to make. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's bring in the stars of the show. We've got Mike McClure, we've got Propstarz, and we've got, there he is, the sniper who was clearly locked in. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm very good. Ready to get after it.
All right. Proppy, you're looking up. How's everything going with you?
I'm saying hi to my neighbor, Matt, upstairs. Everything is going well, Sia. What's up, Mikey? What's up, chat? I'm fired up. We had the NBA draft last night. That was super interesting. NBA teams got a lot better. Some interesting trades there as well. And we've got a little baby slate, but we have some day baseball, Sia, so I'm fired up.
That's right. We cashed our day baseball. Listen, 2-2 is 2-2, but it was nice to cash the first ticket early. It was Phillies run line minus 1.5, and we might be back on the Phillies today. Mike McClure, let me ask you, and for those of you in the chat, we're doing our NFL countdown now. We're about 70 days away from NFL kickoff. If you have a favorite number 70, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll mention one later, but Mike, it's 70 days away. Are you even thinking about football season at this point, or are you just too locked in on the other stuff?
I am definitely thinking about football season still, Sia, especially the college side a little more than the NFL. I start to focus on college a little bit early and then transition more into the NFL. But yes, I am extremely ready for it. I'm about to hit a vacation, the same vacation weeks that I take every single year, which basically signals that it is football season. So yeah, I'm fired up and ready to go for sure.
Yeah, I talked with Tom Casale from SportsLine the other day too. He's already locked in with some college football plays, and everybody knows Tom Casale is just so talented when it comes to that. So he's actually got some futures. Maybe we'll have him on this show, but I'm sure you'll find him in other places on SportsLine where he's got some picks to give out. Proppy, I know you had something.
I can just vouch for Mike thinking about NFL football because this past weekend I got a text message from my buddy Mike, and they may or may not have included some NFL futures that I absolutely love, and I tailed immediately. So Mike is certainly in the NFL lab already.
Sniper, how come you and I aren't on this text distribution list? You got to be a little offended there, guy. I am.
It's okay. I'm on plenty of text chains, so I don't think I need any more. I will say I'm also very excited for football season, but it's because I'm a Cubs fan and the Cubs completely suck. So I'm ready to have a team. I don't think the Bears are going to be awesome or anything, but I'm excited to see them.
They're an exciting team right now, and that's one of the most interesting divisions in football, if not the most interesting division. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and qualify it as that. Nathan Henry says, my Commanders, also mine, Nathan, are going to be a sleeper this season. I mean, the win total is 6.5. I do like the over there. Outside shot to win the division, but I do think that belongs to Proppy's Eagles. All right, speaking of Philadelphia, Sniper, we start with you. You got a couple baseball picks, and we're starting in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we'll go right to Philadelphia. I've got the Phillies on the run line here, minus 1.5 against the Marlins. There's a little bit of juice on there, but I'm good with paying for it because the Phillies are 31-12 at home. The Marlins are 12-25 on the road. Trevor Rogers on the mound for the Marlins. He's been a little better of late, but the Phillies have owned him in his career. 6.99 ERA and 10 starts in his career against the Phillies. The Phillies have a high-powered offense. Also on the mound for the Phillies, Zach Wheeler, who's been Cy Young caliber throughout the season, but especially at home. A 1.66 ERA at home. Let's not think too hard on this one. I think that it's the Phillies winning by multiple runs is the most likely outcome, so we're going to play the run line on that. Also, Chris Sale going back to Chicago, his old stomping grounds against the White Sox. I'm going to go over 7.5 strikeouts. He's very familiar with the setting there. He has 107 strikeouts and 86 2/3 innings this year. So if he gets any reasonable depth into the game, let's say 6 innings, he should have 8 or 9 strikeouts by then. The White Sox are terrible. As we know, we like to fade the White Sox. 7th in strikeout percentage versus left-handers. Sale is left-handed, so I don't think we should have much trouble getting to 8 strikeouts with Mr. Sale here. 7 of his last 9 starts, he's been over 7.5 strikeouts. Let's make it 8 out of 10.
Yeah, Chris Sale still remains good at the baseballing, which frankly surprises me. Sniper, a couple of years ago, I kind of thought, all right, we're
Yeah,
done with the Chris Sale experience.
once his arm was reconstructed and he had some setbacks and it looked like he might never come back. It looks like the Braves struck at the right time to trade for him because he's had a little bit of a rejuvenation this season.
Can I ask you one follow-up, Sniper? Because when I look at the National League, and Mike, I might kick this off to you as well. I mean, there's only so many that I think people think, and I'm not talking World Series, I'm talking to win the National League. Like there's the Phillies, of course. I think the Braves have probably taken a step back, at least in people's eyes. And then, of course, we have the Dodgers. Are you focused in on any of those National League teams? Is there a sleeper? Like I looked at the Diamondbacks to win the World Series at like 60-1 just a few days ago. I thought that was a team that could maybe sneak up on some teams. Anybody in the NL that you think is, other than the Dodgers, perhaps?
After the Diamondbacks made the run last year to win it,
yeah,
it's anybody's ball game. Obviously, the Phillies are the best team. The Dodgers look like if they get, let's say, Yamamoto, Bobby Miller, Clayton Kershaw, and Tyler Glasnow are all right and firing on all cylinders, or Walker Buehler instead of Miller, or something like that, they could absolutely win the NL, and they're loaded. Obviously, they need Mookie Betts back from injury as well. But like, if you look at that wild card mix, there's so many teams in there.
Yeah.
You could probably squint your way to getting the Padres there, the Cardinals there, the Brewers sitting atop the NL Central. At this point, I don't trust anybody at all except the Phillies and Dodgers. So I would probably go with one of those two teams, but man, it's going to be wide open.
Yeah, Mike, any teams that come to mind, it could be the Phillies or the Dodgers. I know we talked about this on CBS Sports Network the other day. Any sleepers in the National League that you have your eye on, or does it really just come down to it's the Dodgers or the Phillies in the NL?
I think it's the Dodgers and the Phillies in the NL. I really do. I think those two teams are set up really nicely in a series format. The teams like the Brewers, they're solid at times. I mean, heck, the Mets could be solid at times if they get in. But to me, it's a two-horse race there. Pivoting to the American League, I know we're not talking about it there.
No,
there is a team that I actually think has some long shot value, but it's, again, highly speculative. It's more likely that they miss the playoffs than get in. But if they get in, I do not hate the Texas Rangers again. And the reason for it is looking at everything here, they're going to have Bradford back. They're going to have Scherzer back. They're going to have DeGrom back. They're going to have Melee back. You look at their entire rotation right now, Eovaldi is the only one pitching right now that would be pitching in the playoffs for this organization. So that it's a completely new team if they're able to get in. The problem is they might be in a hole that's simply too deep at this point. But if they do get in, you see them nearly even money in some of those series.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of baseball left, so that's certainly something to consider. Going back to the NL, and speaking of the NL, Zach Dyer says Cubs Giants no run first inning at -135. Both teams, I guess, hitting at that rate at 79%. He says in terms of no runs in the first inning. Very interesting play there. Do it over at BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to Proppy's pick. We got to get to Mike McClure's pick, and we got to get to my golf matchup, or it's a 3-ball, actually. We'll do it right after this message from our partners. We're back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. I might have read off the wrong pick, by the way, the chat correcting me there. So I will get that pick right, and we will double back for a different SportsLine pick. Let's go to Propstarz, who has 2 MLB props. Proppy, what you got?
I do indeed. A pair of props from the Diamond Sia. I'm going to start with a starting pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, Ben Lively. We're going to go under 16.5 outs for Lively going against the Kansas City Royals on the road here. He's been under 6 innings, in 6 of his last 7 starts. It's also been worse on the road compared to home, if you like home versus road splits. He's failed to eclipse this in 6 of his 7 road starts as well. He's pitching against Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium. I've heard this from Mike quite a bit. It's one of the more hitter-friendly environments in baseball. I also think this Royals team is due for some positive regression. They have failed to eclipse 5 runs in their last 10 games. The offense has really been quiet. Part of that had to do with a tough schedule, but I just think this team, fully healthy, if you look at the lineup, are due to score some runs. So I like Ben Lively to go under 16.5 or fewer than 5 2/3 innings today. And then I have a prop that I like quite a bit. It's a multi-unit play for me. It's John Gray of the Texas Rangers to go over 3.5 strikeouts versus Baltimore. He's been over this in 8 of 13 starts. But if you look at John Gray, well, he is a regression candidate. If you look at his ERA on the surface, as far as the strikeouts are concerned, you can make a really compelling case for him that he's a positive regression candidate, and he's run ice cold on strikeouts. If you look at the swinging strike percentage, he is producing more whiffs than he ever has in his career. But he has, I think, the lowest K rate of his career, which signals to me that he is due for some strikeouts, frankly. We're getting a super low number for him. Baltimore, definitely a tough matchup. They're stingy. They don't strike out a lot, but this number really should be 4.5. I'd play it over at 4.5 as well. So 3.5 is just a gift, in my opinion, for John Gray, who is certainly a positive regression candidate in the strikeout department. This is a multi-unit play for me. And then also fading Guardians pitcher Ben Lively under 16.5 outs.
So I'll say this, when Proppy says it's a multi-unit play for him, that doesn't mean it has to be a multi-play for you at home. But I got to admit, my ears do perk up a little bit. Perhaps I do put a little bit more on those, but we never tell you how to bet, but I always tell people how to listen. And that sounded like music to my ears in terms of how you were analyzing the John Gray prop. But we got John Gray, we got Ben Lively. And by the way, the SportsLine pick, it's WNBA. It's not soccer. Thank you, everybody, for correcting me on the Mexico game. It's Aces Sky over 168 at -110. I've noticed that in some markets, this line has moved just a little bit. Try to shop your lines. Try to get something close to that 168 if you can. But again, Aces Sky is the SportsLine pick, which you can catch over on SportsLine right when that pick is made. You can catch it over 168. I know somebody asked about the Minnesota Lynx earlier in the show against the Dallas Wings. I don't know a ton about the WNBA. It's at Dallas, but I do know Minnesota's a really great team, underrated team coming into the season. I don't really have an opinion on that, but maybe we can try to hunt down Mackenzie Brooks or one of our other WNBA cappers. I do lean towards the Lynx without knowing too much about what I'm talking about. I do know a lot about golf, though. I'm losing the round matchup I have right now. I actually don't have an update on it. He was down. Robert McIntyre was down 2 strokes. But again, they were just through the front 9, so we'll see if he catches up there. Plenty of time to do that. My round 1 3-ball, though. This is not a matchup. It's a 3-ball. This should be everywhere at all books. It's Maverick McNeely at +105 over Joseph Bramlett and CT Pan. This is both a fade of Bramlett and CT Pan as much as it is an endorsement of Maverick McNeely. McNeely's starting to play very well. Very good course fit. Ball striking has been back. The putter is always there for Maverick McNeely. And then we've got Joseph Bramlett and CT Pan, who just haven't been very good. Now, this is a 3-ball, and it's a birdie fest. So there's always something from a variance standpoint we do have to account for. There's a lot of, if you look at the leaderboard right now, there's a lot of names that you don't normally see that are, or maybe that you've never even heard of, that are near the top of the board. So I can't rule out that Joseph Bramlett or CT Pan aren't going to have decent days. But if you look at what they've done pretty much this entire year of 2024, and you look at where their strengths are, for example, CT Pan is pretty accurate off the tee. That's all he does well. Joseph Bramlett, not a good putter. You need to be a good putter here. So Maverick McNeely at +105 in this 3-ball, I think this is pretty good value because I could see this number being -110, and I'd still like it. So I do think we're getting some value on Maverick McNeely, again, over Joseph Bramlett and CT Pan. And I want to go to Mike. Mike, before I go to your Guardians Royals play, which I won't give away quite yet, before I go to that, Mike, let me ask you, Mav McNeely, I seem to recall when we were talking outrights, that was, and you had basically, you spread yourself pretty thin this week. You had decent amount of outrights relative to a normal week. Wasn't Mav one of them?
Yes, McNeely is one of them. Liked him in a top 20 market. Didn't actually play the top 20 there, but I do like McNeely quite a bit. Fourth in this field in total strokes gained over his last 24 rounds. Really good on approach, really good off the tee, and certainly good enough with the putter to win a birdie fest like this. That's going to be, 23, 24, maybe as high as 30 under par by the time the weekend's over.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Scott Wise says McNeely first round leader. The afternoon conditions aren't going to be worse than the morning conditions, and it's still a pretty soft course. So because he hasn't gone off yet, he goes off around 12:21, I believe. That's when the 3-ball starts. He's 40-1 right now. So my thought there, Scott, I think it's a good thought. Normally, I wouldn't be taking a first round leader that hasn't gone out yet. But if guys like Nate Lashley, who were in the lead, he had a hole-in-one early in this first round. If those guys stay at like -4, -5, then I do think that first round lead is up for grabs for the afternoon. If they continue to go off and somebody hits like -7, that's when I'd probably skate off of it a little bit, but monitor that or, anticipate that. I have Pendrith as a first round leader. He also goes off in the afternoon, but I do think McNeely is live for a first round lead. Mike, one other thing before I get to your pick. I don't know how much you were dialed in on the NBA draft, and Proppy, I'm going to kick this off of you and then we're going to get Mike's pick. But somebody said the Lakers won the first round. I think there was a lot of winners in the first round. Your response to either that comment, Mike McClure, or just any other surprises, anything that really stood out to you? Maybe it was a singular pick or a singular non-pick. Well, tell me about the NBA draft in terms of what stood out to you.
Yeah, a couple things. I would say the Lakers, you could say they won the draft if you want. I like the fit for them. The reason why Dalton Knecht slipped is because of age. We've seen an emphasis on younger, give them a longer runway to develop. Dalton Knecht is someone that's going to be on the floor almost immediately, just as a perimeter shooter working with LeBron. So the age is not really a concern, as Lakers are obviously still, assuming LeBron comes back, they're in win now mode no matter what, right? So I don't think that from that standpoint, it's a bad pick by any means. I'm not ready to say they won the first round. I like what the Spurs have done. I love Castle. I think that there's it'll be interesting to see. Sarr, I think, is the best player in the draft, though.
Yeah, Wizards get Sarr. Probably just benefited from Sarr really not wanting to play for Atlanta. Propstars, any surprises or anything stick out to you from round one of the NBA draft?
Way too premature to say the Lakers have won the draft based on one pick. I do think the Portland Trailblazers getting Klingon at 7 was tremendous value. That was certainly his floor, in contention to go first overall. I was surprised he actually didn't get drafted in the top 5. So could be a real anchor for that Portland team that's rebuilding. I like what they did.
All right. I like that too, actually. They got the Avija from the Wizards as well, right immediately prior to the draft. All right, Mike, we go to Guardians Royals. We have a play there. What is it?
It's the total. See, we're going over 8.5, -115. I would move quickly on this if you haven't already. You probably saw it on SportsLine. If not, make sure you turn those notifications on. The 8.5s are mostly gone. There's still one over at BetMGM right now, and I believe one other book has an 8.5 left. Everything else has moved to 9 in the last 20 to 30 minutes. Again, very different plays between 8.5 and 9. One requires 9 runs. One requires 10. Big difference in a Major League Baseball game. But as Alex mentioned, as I've mentioned many times, Kauffman Stadium remains one of the best run-scoring environments in Major League Baseball. When I say run-scoring environments, I don't necessarily mean hitting home runs, just runs in general. Those gaps are wide in the outfield. We see a ton of extra base hits in this ballpark. And the weather conditions are fine here. It's not the 100-degree day, but we still have high enough humidity and warm enough air that the air density is low in this matchup. But really, I want to question both starting pitchers here. We already see Proppy picking on Lively a little bit. I love that here. When you look at this guy's four-seam fastball, he is surrendering a weighted on base average in the 400s here. For some context, league average is going to be around 315 to 320. So he's meaningfully below that. And what's really concerning for me here is the average exit velocity on that four-seam fastball is 95 miles per hour, which is literally designated a hard hit baseball in the stat keeping. So the average baseball that is hit when he throws his pitch is literally a hard hit baseball. And then on the other side, we've got someone like Michael Wacha. He has one great pitch. His changeup, absolutely amazing. However, if you're not able to locate the changeup, or you face a division rival that is potentially, more in tune with the starting pitcher, which is typically what happens, his four-seam fastball also above 400 on the weighted on base average. So these two pitchers, basically one pitch pitchers right now. I think this is a matchup where we see some runs. This Royals team, they broke out of it yesterday in the late innings. I personally think they're just a drastically different team when playing at home at Kauffman Stadium. I think we see runs on both sides. Went over 8.5 here.
All right. Absolutely love it. Proppy, I got a question for you. Sears is asking on FanDuel, we can get John Gray at plus money for 4.5 strikeouts as opposed to, of course, 3.5 at the minus number. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, I like it very much at 4.5 plus money. I'd certainly take a position there as well.
All right. And Sniper, did I miss any baseball questions that you caught in the chat? Because I was scrolling. I'm not sure if I got to everything. If you don't know of one, that's fine.
No, I don't know.
All right. And Mango says, Sia, the Lynx are number one in the WNBA power rankings, just won the midseason tournament. Yeah, this Lynx team is definitely legit. All right. Well, this show has been legit. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the picks in the chat. Let's go to the recap screen before we get out of here. PropStars, John Gray over 3.5 Ks, minus 145, and Ben Lively under 16.5 outs at minus 125. I've got a Rocket Mortgage round 1 3-ball Maverick McNeely plus 105 over Joseph Bramlett and CT Pan. Sniper, Phillies minus 1.5, minus 125. Chris Sale over 7.5 Ks at minus 145. Guardians Royals for Mike McClure. We're taking the over of 8.5 at minus 115. Sportsline pick, Aces, Sky, over 168 points, minus 110. Speaking of over, this show is over. Thanks for joining us today on behalf of Mike McClure, PropStars, the Sniper, and Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, Friday on the Early Edge. It's Big Pick Energy. You're not going to want to miss that one. But for the here and now, we're done. Thanks for being in the chat. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.